there, welcome back to the Millennial Book Junkie. Today, I'm going to share with you the results of a question I asked over 2 million people in a thriller Facebook group. What is the most addictive thriller that you have ever read? When I asked this question, I got over 700 comments in response, and these people shared over 200 books that they found absolutely addicting. And after gathering the over 200 books that were mentioned in a spreadsheet, I tallied the results, and I'm going to share with you the top 17 books that were mentioned. Now, why am I sharing 17? Because the bottom 5 of these were mentioned at least 5 times, and I feel like I would be doing you a disservice by not sharing them with you, and also because I never miss a chance to keep your TBR stacked, especially while we escape all the horrors of reality. So here's the thing, I'm going to be sharing with you the top 17 thrillers that were mentioned, but if you want the full list of over 200 books that were mentioned as the most addictive, I will tell you how you're going to be able to get your hands on those at the end of this video. All right, so let's get into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already and if you're enjoying this content, and let's get this thriller party started. Coming in at 17, we have the Robert Hunter series by Chris Carter. Now, this is a crime thriller series that currently spans 13 books, starting with The Crucifix Killer, which came out in 2009, and running through to The Death Watcher, which came out in 2024. Now, these books center around a detective named Robert Hunter who has a doctorate in criminal psychology, and each book follows a new case with a distinct signature killer. Now, what makes these books so addicting is that people feel like they get sucked in right from the very first page because there's a real authentic intensity to Carter's novels. And that's probably because he actually studied criminal psychology and worked on over 100 real cases in real life. So if you like shows like Criminal Minds or authors like Jeffrey Deaver or Tess Gerritsen, this is for you. Just be mindful of trigger warnings like graphic violence and torture, because I am told that there is a lot of that in this series. Next up at number 16, the people have voted for the Rainey Paxton series by Paige Dearth. So this one is another series. It's smaller with only 4 books, and it's a darker thriller series about a girl who is born addicted to heroin and her fight for survival. Book 1 is about when she's born, book 2 follows when she's older, and so on and so forth until you have 4 books about her life where she's struggling with abuse, drugs, and violence. That being said, this series was also listed 5 times in the comments. And the reason why people find this one is so addicting is because it's really gritty and real. You are rooting to see Rainey Paxton survive in this series, and for that reason, you just can't look away. So this is another one that a lot of people have called a very highly addicting series, but just keep in mind that it is very dark. All right, so coming in at number 15, we have Run on Red by Noelle Illey. Now, this one is one of her most popular books. I hear it talked about constantly, and this was another that a lot of people listed as like super addictive, like cannot put down. It's about 2 women who are followed on a rural country road by 2 men in a truck. And what starts out as apparent road rage turns into a chase and a fight for survival, even if it means taking their chances on foot. Now, this is your classic cat and mouse survival thriller in an isolated setting, truly terrifying because it is so plausible and filled with high tension and suspense. I personally have only read Gray After Dark by Noelle Illey, but I'm definitely going to read this one soon. It has been on my TBR forever. Coming in at 14, we have Keep It in the Family by John Mars. This one's about a couple that buy a fixer-upper, and they are very busy turning it into their dream home when the woman, Mia, discovers a chilling message scratched into the skirting board. I will save them from the attic. That's what the message says. Now, following that clue up into the eaves, they make a gruesome discovery. Their dream home was once a house of horrors, and it only gets darker from there. This one is a psychological thriller with relentless pacing, short chapters, and constant cliffhangers, and it's considered one of John Mars's darkest and most twisted books. Now, if you love that like secrets buried in the walls kind of thriller with a twist after twist that makes your jaw drop, then this one sounds like you've got to pick it up. Now, John Mars is already on my radar because I read The Family Experiment by him and absolutely loved it. Coming in at number 13, we have Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. This one is a banger, you guys, as I have heard at least. And honestly, over 1 million copies have been sold of this one, so this cannot be wrong. This one is about a woman named Shelby Tebow, who goes missing. And afterward, a neighbor named Meredith and her 6-year-old daughter, Delilah, vanish just blocks away. And then the case goes cold. And then like 11 years later, Delilah shockingly returns and everyone wants to know what happened to her, but no one is prepared for what they'll find. This one is your classic small town domestic thriller with multiple timelines and apparently a very jaw-dropping twist at the end. Now, I really enjoyed It's Not Her by Mary Kubica, and that is the only one that I have read by her, but I am definitely going to be picking up her backlist, and I have heard a lot about this one. All right, you guys, up next, these next 3 thrillers were mentioned 6 times each, so more than the previous ones. And the first one of those is coming in at number 12, and that is none other than My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. Now, if you know or have read Alice Feeney, you know she is the queen of the jaw-dropping twist, and this one had a lot of people picking up their jaws off the floor after this one. This one is about a woman named Eden Fox. She's an artist on the brink of her big break, and she goes out for a morning run like any normal person, and when she comes home, her key doesn't fit in the lock, and a woman who looks exactly like her opens the door, and her husband insists that this stranger that opens the door is his wife. You've got one house, one husband, 2 women. Who is lying? This is a psychological thriller through and through. We have themes of identity theft, gaslighting, deception, and of course the terrifying question of what happens when your entire existence gets erased. I personally wasn't a fan of this one because I felt the twist was too manufactured, but I 100% agree that it is addicting, and if you're looking for something to pull you out of this world and into a wild and twisty one, then this one is calling your name. All right, this next one is coming in at number 11. It is a highly addictive thriller, and it is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This one was mentioned 6 times, and this book is intensely graphic and dark. Karen Slaughter does not hold back in this one. It's about 2 sisters, and they have another sister that vanishes without a trace. So 20 years later, the 2 surviving sisters, who haven't spoken in a really long time and their lives could not be more different, they come back together. Neither of them has recovered from the loss of losing their sister, but then Claire, one of the sisters, her husband is murdered. And so they're working together to dig into the past, to find a truth that none of them are really prepared for. This one is a very dark thriller. It's a psychological crime thriller. You have multiple timelines, and I can definitely see why people would call it addictive. I wouldn't say it's as addictive as your standard popcorn thriller, having read it myself, but it does pull you into the story in such a way where you really don't want to put it down. All right, we're going to move into the top 10 most addictive thrillers here, and we are inching ever closer to the number 1. Are you ready? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you are feverishly adding to your TBR. All right, coming in at number 10, we have Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. And this one comes up constantly every time people talk about addictive psychological thrillers, so I'm really not surprised that it made the list. This one is about a wealthy couple named Jack and Grace, but behind closed doors, everything changes. Apparently, Jack is a very controlling husband. He's got a very brutal, manipulative edge that keeps Grace completely isolated. Her every move is getting monitored. And then she has her vulnerable sister, Millie, who is kind of used as a pawn to keep her in line. Now, also, if you read this, keep in mind there is apparently a dog situation that has people very upset, so consider yourself warned. This one is a psychological domestic thriller, and apparently what makes it so addictive is that it's really claustrophobic, and it has like suffocating tension that builds from the very first page. So one reviewer, I remember, described it as really freaking creepy. So apparently this is one that you don't want to miss, and actually it's a debut novel, and I actually feel like I need to pick it up very soon because so many people talk about it. All right, now this next thriller, number 9, was recommended 7 times in the comments, and it is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. This one is about a woman named Georgina Shaw, Geo, who is living a very picture-perfect life, but when she was 16, her best friend Angela disappeared without a trace. So now, 14 years later, Angela's remains have been found in the woods behind Geo's childhood home. And her ex-boyfriend, Calvin, has been charged as a serial killer. And Geo is basically headed to prison as his accomplice because she knew more than she let on. So throughout the book, we get a very intimate look at Geo's life during and after prison, her complicated relationship with Kaiser, who is the childhood friend, who is now the detective on the case, and basically a new string of murders are being carried out now in the exact same way as her friend Angela's. So this is a psychological thriller that won the International Thriller Writers Thriller Award and was shortlisted for the Anthony and McCavity Awards. So the accolades really sort of back up the hype on this one. I have not read it because I have a couple of other Jennifer Hillier novels on my shelf, like Creep and The Butcher, but this one is definitely on my TBR. I know a lot of people love it. All right, coming in at number 8, we have Intensity by Dean Koontz, one of my favorite authors. And this title apparently is not an accident. This book is very intense. It was recommended 8 times in this Facebook post. This one's about a woman named China who is visiting a friend's family in Napa Valley when the house is invaded in the middle of the night by a sadistic serial killer named Edgar Foreman Bess. He murders Laura's family and makes off with Laura in his motorhome. But what Bess doesn't know is that China witnessed the whole thing, and armed with nothing but a butcher knife, she sneaks into the trailer determined to save her friend. Now, what follows is basically a nonstop chase. One woman, one monster, no backup, no phone, no plan. And the chapters alternate between China and the serial killer's perspective, which makes it even more creepy because you are really fully inside the mind of the psychopath. So if you like that, I think you should pick this one up. Koontz is actually one of my favorite authors that I grew up with, and I would definitely be reading this one. I actually think I have it on my shelf. I'm not sure. I might have actually read it in the past, but I will definitely be reading it again based on this description. All right, coming in at number 7 is the book that was mentioned 9 times in this Facebook post, and that is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. So many people love this book because it has such great twists. It's about a woman named Lenora Hope, and everyone believes she is a murderer because her family was massacred decades ago. She was the only one left, but now as an older woman, she's mute, she's paralyzed, and she's basically confined to a wheelchair. And she has never been able to tell her side of the story until her new live-in caregiver, Kit, arrives and brings with her a typewriter. And so with one working finger, Lenora starts to type, "I want to tell you everything." It's essentially like a Lizzie Borden story. It's like set in this crumbling cliffside mansion in Maine, and we get both Kit's perspective and Lenora's typewritten account of what really happened the night her family died. So if you like creepy old mansion vibes with dark secrets, dual timelines, twist after twist, you're definitely in for a treat. I loved this one. I did feel like there was like one too many twists at the end. That's just personal preference. I really do and love this book, and I see why people love it too. All right, coming in at number 6, we have The Butcher by Jennifer Hillier. And yes, this is the second Jennifer Hillier book on our list, which tells you everything you need to know about this one's ability to write fantastic thrillers. So this one was recommended 9 times in the Facebook comments, and this is one that I actually own, and it is Calling My Name. This one is about a Seattle police chief. His name is Edward Shank, and in 1985, he famously hunted down and killed the notorious Beacon Hill Butcher. 30 years later, he's retired and he's passing his Grand Victorian home to his grandson, Matt, who is an up-and-coming chef on the verge of TV stardom. But while renovating the backyard, Matt finds a locked crate that he has never seen before. And what's inside will change his life forever. And his girlfriend, Sam, She's been digging into the Butcher case for years, and the deeper she goes, the closer to home the truth gets. Now, what makes this one particularly clever is that unlike traditional thrillers, Hillier reveals the identity of the killer early on. So the tension isn't about the who, it's more about what happens when the truth finally catches up. This one apparently is very dark, fast-paced, and full of twists, and I think that you should add it to your TBR immediately. Okay, so now we're transitioning to the top 5 most addictive thrillers that were mentioned in this Facebook post. Are you ready? Coming in at number 5, the book that was recommended 10 times in this post. Not really a surprise, but it was none other than the book that traumatized nearly every person who read it, and that is Verity by Colleen Hoover, coming to theaters in October, by the way. This one is about a struggling writer who is hired to complete a best-selling book series after the author, Verity Crawford, is left incapacitated following a car accident. Our main character, Lowen, travels to the Crawfords' remote lake house to go through Verity's notes and instead stumbles upon an unpublished autobiography that Verity never intended anyone to read, and it is very unsettling. Now, to make things worse, Lowen starts falling for Verity's husband, Jeremy. All the while, Verity is comatose upstairs. This is a dark romance, psychological thriller, and I have mixed feelings. In the beginning, I was really obsessed. Couldn't put it down. But the middle kind of left me wanting more action, and then by the end, my head was spinning right the F off. So I think if you're a thriller reader, you need to give this one a try, just as sort of like a rite of passage, just so you can add to the noise out there about it, because I think people are really conflicted. But I can see why they said it was addicting. All right, coming in at number 4, the book that was recommended 12 times in this Facebook post, we have Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. And I have read this one too, and I absolutely loved it. The twist was chef's kiss. This one is about a woman named Mallory. She's fresh out of rehab when she takes a live-in nanny job for the Maxwell family, looking after their 5-year-old son, Teddy. He is a very sweet, shy boy who is never without his sketchbook. His drawings start out very innocent, but then they slowly turn creepy. He starts drawing a man in a forest, dragging a woman's lifeless body, and from there, the artwork only gets darker and more disturbing. Now, what makes this book really unique is the actual illustrations that are included throughout the pages. So you're not just reading about the creepy drawings, you're actually seeing them yourself. It kind of adds a layer of dread that makes this one worth reading because it's almost like you're reviewing the pictures right alongside the main character. Now, this one is a supernatural thriller that definitely keeps you second-guessing yourself. And you're like, is something really sinister happening? Or is Mallory's past just kind of like coming out of the blue? I don't know. I don't want to say anything more about it except for I absolutely loved the twist. A lot of people rave about the twist in this one. I kept thinking about it for days afterward. So if you haven't read this one, you should, and very soon. Coming in at number 3 is a book that was recommended a whopping 13 times in this Facebook post. No surprise, it was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And I have read this one, and let me tell you, the hype is completely deserved. This one is about a woman who shoots her husband, and afterwards she stops speaking entirely. Not a word, no explanation, no confession, no defense. She becomes known as the Silent Patient. And then we have Theo Faber. He is a psychotherapist, and he is drawn to this case, so much so that he leaves his job to work at the psychiatric facility where she is being held, determined to get her to speak. Now, what follows is a dual narrative. You have Theo's present-day investigation woven together with Alicia's old diary entries. And the way those two timelines collide at the end is nothing short of masterful. I genuinely did not see the twist coming, and that ending really had me sitting there staring at the wall for like 5 minutes. This one is super popular. I would say it's not as addictive as like a Frida McFadden novel, but the story is definitely there, definitely will pull you in. I highly recommend you read this, and it is not a surprise that this one came really close to the top of like one of the most addictive thrillers. All right, coming in at number 2. This was recommended 14 times in the Facebook post, and it is the 4 Monkey Killers series by J.D. Barker. I have read the first book and it is so good. I cannot wait to get to the other two in the series. So this one is about a serial killer called the Four Monkey Killer who has been terrorizing the residents of Chicago for years. Now, when his body is found, the detective, Sam Porter, realizes that the killer was on his way to deliver one final message, proving he has already taken another victim who might still be alive. Now, found on the body is a personal diary that pulls Detective Porter deep into the mind of a psychopath, all while the clock ticks down on an innocent girl's life. This one has been compared to Seven, the movie, meets Silence of the Lambs. And I highly agree, definitely with the Seven comparison. It is dark, it is twisted, and utterly addictive. Okay, so coming in at number 1, we have the Mind F series. I'm not gonna curse, but it is a dark romance with crime drama, and it's a psychological thriller as its subgenre. So it's kind of like Criminal Minds meets a love story. This series comprises 5 books. And basically you'll want to read them in order because none of them quite work as a standalone. So this one is about a woman named Lana and her brother who were tortured for a crime their father did not commit. Everyone thought they were dead. She made it out alive and spent years training and preparing for revenge on the small town that turned its back on her. Now, Logan, on the other hand, is an FBI profiler investigating a string of murders, and he ends up falling in love with Lana. The only problem is he has no idea she is the serial killer that he's trying to find. So you've got this really devastating push and pull between a woman on a mission and the man who is supposed to stop her, except he loves her. So people really, really love this book because the main character is hell-bent on both destruction and revenge. And some people really empathize with her, even though there's a lot of darkness surrounding the stuff that she does. Readers describe this one as something that is like all-consuming, something that takes over your thoughts and doesn't let go until the very last page. So that's probably why it was rated number 1 most addictive. So there you have it, 17 highly addictive thrillers as recommended by a Facebook thriller reader group with over 2 million people. Now, there were over 200 books mentioned in this Facebook post in the comment section as the most addictive thrillers out there. And I have collated them into a single document. And I told you I was going to tell you how to get your hands on that document at the end of this video. So here we are. If you want the list of over 200 books that people mentioned as the most highly addictive thrillers out there, just go to the link in the description box of this video that says get 200 plus thriller recs, and that's going to take you to a form where you can sign up to my weekly thriller release newsletter. And once you do, the link to the 200 plus thriller recs will appear right after you subscribe. I sincerely hope that you add so many books to your TBR because I know that I have, and I really thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!